this is your boy coming with a video of something that needs to be thought about and considered. Um, you probably looking at me why I got my hair like this is because the simple fact is that I'm sitting up here doing some head scratching and thinking about some things that has been happening to the Philadelphia Eagles football team. First of all, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the bad, and I'm gonna work my way into reason why the video is in process of being made. A lot of things has happened with the football team: injuries, bad play calling, not deciding when to pass run, not to decide when not to blitz or not to even consider doing the things that the fans have been hooping and hollering for from week 3 all the way up until the game against the I want to say against the game against the Raiders or maybe the Chargers. I think the Chargers is when the Eagles started doing what they should have been doing the beginning of the week. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say with the Raiders, because we played the Raiders before we played the Chargers. So I'm gonna stick with the Raiders. If you guys remember, Nick Sirianni made up this comment about the watering of the plants or fertilizing the plants, or before things get to becoming what they are now. If you guys remember correctly, he said that there is no chemistry in a sense, and that you have to keep watering the plants until it grows. Well, a lot of us fans have made fun of that, and I gotta admit, in one of my videos earlier this year, when he had that press conference about that situation about the plants growing and stuff of that nature, I gotta admit, I made that video out of I'm not gonna say out of false pretense or out of false content, or better yet, I'm gonna say I made this video based on the reaction of other fans. We all have. Then you gotta really look at it now. The situation with the water of the plants actually made some sense. What he meant was that the coaches have to grow with the players, and the players have to grow with the coaches. And so once that is complete, once you learn to trust in each other, believe in the play calling, and believe in what the coaches are trying to instill on all 3 phases of the football, things can be accomplished. And we saw the results of that. The Eagles have been running the football, which is what they're number one on. No team in the NFL can match the way we run the football, and we have won games running the football. The Eagles have won 9 of the last 9 games played this season. Hold on. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I'm right. 9 of the last 9 games that we played this season, and we are 9-8. So, which is hard to believe considering the position that we are in right now into the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who the team had beat us completely, blew us out way back early part of the season. They said week 6. I think they're correct. I think it was week 6, and they beat us like 30-some points, I believe, or 40-some points to 7 or 14. I can't exactly remember what the score was. All I know is we were outmatched and confused that entire game. When we beat the Falcons earlier in the season, week 1, we ran the football in that game, and we also passed the football a little bit in that game, and that's why we won that game. That's why we put 32 points against the Falcons. But after that, when we played the San Francisco 49ers in week 2, at Philadelphia, I want to say, or it might have been it was at Philadelphia. The 49ers beat us 17-14, and so from that point on, then that game didn't play against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys beat us pretty good in that game. So You gotta look at all the situations from week 1 up until week 12 or 13, somewhere along up in there against the Raiders. We started running the football. We started developing an identity. So, which means that, and that goes for every team in the NFL. Something has to be, a seed has to be planted for the flower to grow. And what does the flower needs? The most important ingredient, and that's water. Nick Sirianni mentioned that in one press conference. He said you have to keep watering the soil and keep watering the plant for it to actually grow. And that's what the Eagles have done. The Eagles have grown as a franchise. They've grown as a team. And as coaches, they got better play calling on offense. It just took Jonathan Gannon a little while longer to catch on. But they always said defense can catch on before the offense does. But in this case, in the beginning of the season, it's been the offense that caught on just a little bit quicker than the defense. So it took Gannon a long time to figure out and realize what each team can do individually, because it's all about taking advantage of what a player can do on the field. If you know that Josh Sweat can rush the passer, see, Josh Sweat only had 5.5 sacks this season, which is a career high. No, actually, I think he had 9 sacks in a backup role, which is a career high for him. But as a starter, a career high is 5.5 sacks as a starter, so that's a career high for him. And Sweat has the ability to stand up in a 2-point stance or put his hands in the ground and rush the passer. He can play outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme if need be. He has the lean to do that. But to take advantage of a guy with a lean like that, you can actually put him on stunt plays on defense. Let the offense think he's going to rush outside, but he actually going to come inside the A gap and rush the quarterback or get the running back down for a loss. So I mean, it's so many ways to do this. Gannon had done this only a few times with Josh Sweat this season, but you can also put the situation we got the Eagle defense start off slow because we lost Brandon Graham in the beginning of the season. Brandon Graham got hurt in week 1 against the Falcons, and that hurt our defense going forward. So it's like when you lose leadership on one side of the field, someone else can take over. I'm not sure if I can say Fletcher Cox is a leader, but he's been on that team long enough to be a leader. You can't say that what's the boy name? Hargrove can be a leader. You can't say that because he's been with the team only for 2 seasons. And Josh Sweat working on his fourth year fourth year as a player, but his first year as a starter. So you gotta look at that situation as a whole. Then the linebacker had to be remade. You know, Singleton, then you had Edwards, and then you had Taylor. But now Taylor was supposed to come back this year, but I kind of figured his season was gonna be done. So now we pretty much got a makeup linebacking unit, but Jernard Avery has came in relief of Taylor, and he has done extraordinarily well. So it's about working with the talent that you have, regardless if the talent is less or a lot. It's about working on talent and who can do who on offense and defense. Now, let's work our way to the offense. Offensive line. Mailata. Now, Mailata is a 4-year player, but he's in the first year as a starter. You see how he had matured as one of the best left tackles in the game. The guy is ranked now like in the top 10 in one of the best offensive lines, one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And the guy is young. I think he's 24, 25 years old. He's young, so he has a long way to go in that 6'8" frame to a point where his number is 6'8" on his chest. So then you gotta look at Landon Dickinson. Landon Dickinson played all 5 spots on the offensive line, but his major talent was at center. When the Eagles drafted him, they rejected him to play center. He's supposed to be the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey, but now he has done it so well in, on the left side of the offense as guard, and that's probably where he's going to remain for the rest of his career at guard. So now the Eagles are going to be left with finding a center in next year's draft. Now Kelsey, the leader of the game, you know what I'm saying? And this his 12th year in the league. He just recently have been promoted or have been given the title All Pro. The guy has been to 4 Pro Bowls in his career, three-time All Pro, 2 times as a first team, and this year he's a second teamer. And then you got I keep thinking of that other guy. Nate Herbig. Nate Herbig, or Hurtney, whatever his name is. He playing right guard next to the other boy I'm finna speak about in the few minutes. Now we had Salamala was supposed to be the guard on the right side of the field, but he got hurt. His season is over with after he had a season in the knee injury as well. And now you got I keep thinking of that guard for at the right tackle for all the names, all the money in the world, but it'll come to me at some point. But anyway, he also has been nominated as a Pro Bowler. Well, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler himself. One-time All Pro, one-time first team All Pro, and 2 All Pro, first team All Pro. So you gotta look at that whole offensive line as a whole. They finally gelled because we have been missing a left guard and the right guard. Now both guard spots have been solidified for the rest of the season. This team is playing as a whole. And the game against the Cowboys, the last game. I gotta admit that game actually hurt to a certain degree. But if you look at the whole situation now, I'm actually glad we lost that football game. I know that sounds strange coming out of my mouth, but I'm actually glad we lost that game because it gave us the opportunity to see who can play in the second team, third team, and practice squad players. And I gotta admit, some of them guys did real well playing on the field, but most of them did not. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we stand as far as second, third, and practice squad player, which means the Eagles probably going to have to rebuild their second team and third team offense and defense in this offseason coming up. And practice squad player probably needs a little bit more, probably needs some better practice squad players than we had this year, because in that game against the Cowboys, you saw it was a mess. Them guys did the best they could, but when you got your starting but when the Cowboys had their starting offense, starting defense, an entire game up to the fourth quarter, and they pretty much beat us badly, 41-26. 51-26. So that right there, that's horrendous to even think about and consider. But back to the point of what I'm making. Them guys, the stars didn't play in that game because a lot of those guys were banged up for a whole 17 game season. You had some guys who were still injured and played injured along the stretch leading into that last game against the Cowboys. So a lot of them guys got rest, and so the rest was well needed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us want to be 10-7 or 11-6, but that ain't the case. We want to be in 9-8, and so we are a number 7 seed, and we're playing a top seed, one of the top 2 seeds in the team at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So them guys are now well rested, and they are ready to go. And so, but the question remains, will the Eagles beat the Buccaneers? Right now, that remains to be seen. I can't say yes, I can't say no, but I'm going to say it remains to be seen. If the Eagles can get off to a fast start, because see, the majority of the games they lost this year, we start off pretty slow. And it took us a long time to actually start winning games and putting points on the scoreboard, because teams have been able to find ways to stop the run game or stop the passing game, or no passing game lack thereof. But after that bye week that we had, you started seeing Hurts passing the ball a little bit more. the last three, the last 3 or 5 games we had this season, Hurts had thrown for over 200 yards passing in those last 3 or 4 games, the last 3 or 5 games we played this season. You know what I'm saying? So you start seeing a little bit more growth in Hurts. Hurts starting to pass the ball out the pocket. He started staying in the pocket a little bit more and letting protect him where he can get the balls out of his hands quickly into the running back's hands, out on swing passes, or throwing it on tight end screens, throwing it on wide receiver screens, throwing it to running back screens, where he can keep the ball himself and run it. So he been able, so he getting better and better in reading coverages now. So it's a good thing that when the bye week came, he was able to study his plays, his mistakes, and all that. So I believe the Eagles are gonna compete with Tampa Bay in this game. It won't be lopsided like it was back in week 6 against them. Cause it was a lopsided loss. You know what I'm saying? But this game will not be lopsided. So it's gonna come down to who can complete the most plays in times needed. It's gonna be against the defense stopping the opposing team's offense. It's gonna come down to special teams, and it's gonna come down to good coaching, because we all know good coaching gets you the win. That means that coaching got to put players in position to win the game, offensively, defensively, special teams. Because sometimes on special teams, when both teams are knotted up, let's say 24 knotted up, and one team starts driving down the field, getting out of bounds to stop the clock. When they get somewhere like in the 40, 35, 30-yard range, or maybe even the 25-yard range, and we strike out 1, 2, 3. And let's say if it's third, like I said, let's say if it's 1st and 10, we get 2 yards. 1st and 8, 2nd and 8, we get 3 yards. 3rd and 5. You know what I'm saying? So if we strike out on 3rd and 5, and we got 4th down, 5 yards to go, two things can happen. We either throw the ball for a touchdown to put a dagger in the opposing team, or we can kick the field goal and win the game with like 10 or 15 seconds left on the score clock. So that's what it's all about. It's about game management. It's about putting your players in position to win football games. The question is, will the Eagles be able to do that against this Tampa Bay front? Because we all know Tampa Bay is top 5 against stopping the run. So the Eagles want to figure out some way to pass the ball, run the ball, miss up coverages, give them things that they haven't seen that the Eagles can do. Because see, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to play a team something that they are not prepared for. So it could be also going to come down to the game toss. Because if we go on Tampa Bay is going to be the home team. So the Eagles is going to be the one to actually get the coin toss call first. So if the Eagles win the coin toss, it'll be very important that they defer. Because if they defer, we can get the ball back in the second half. That's what it's going to come down to. So I'm praying and hope that the Eagles win this coin toss. That's when it really going to come down to. Because now if the Eagles don't win the coin toss, then the Eagles are going to figure out, they're going to see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do. And when that happens, if they strike them out and get that team back on the field, then we can get some points, maybe 3 points, maybe 7 points to start off the first quarter. So it's going to come down to all of this. You guys watch football. You know what teams have to do to win football games. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to play calling. It comes down to putting players in position to win the football game, and it comes down to reacting. And what I mean by reacting, I mean that players gonna have to react to what they see versus an illusion. Because see, some teams can put something in your head to a point where you think it's that play they're gonna throw, and they want to be in the run. So they got to be very careful of the play action. They got to be very careful of the read option, because the read option means that the quarterback has the ball. He can get the ball to the running back for a run. You think it's a run, they want to be the pass. So we got to be very careful of what we see coming out of Tom Brady's head. Because we all know Tom Brady, he gets the ball out of his hand like 1.2, 1.10 seconds of a throw. That's what it's gonna come down to. And y'all know this. I've been watching football. I've been an Eagle fan for 41 years, but been watching football like 30, 35 years. You know what I'm saying? So I pretty much know how defenses, offenses, and special teams work. If you think about all the coaches the Eagles have had, I'm talking about when I was born. I'm talking about 77 and down. 77, we all know Dick Vermeil became head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles went to the Super Bowl 3 years later. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at that. Dick Vermeil had to rebuild the team from the ground up, draft players and trades. He did that, and the Eagles winning 3 of the last 5 years. 4 of the last 6 years that he was head coach. Then when he left, we brought in Buddy Ryan. Now, Buddy Ryan had to rebuild the offense. Man, had to rebuild the defense. That's what he did. The Eagle defense kind of got soft in Dick Vermeil's last and final year as the coach. Buddy Ryan had to come in and rebuild the defense. That's exactly what he did. He drafted Reggie White. He drafted my main man, what's his name? Clyde Simmons. He drafted Clyde Simmons. He drafted Mike Golick. And he drafted number 99 himself, Jerome Brown. And then he also brought in Seth Joyner. He brought in Eric Allen. He brought in hard-hitting Andre Waters. You know what I'm saying? He brought all these guys in via the draft. And these guys are mentioning with our draft picks. They wasn't no free agents. These guys were draft picks. First round draft picks, second, third, and fourth, and fifth, sixth, and seventh, all the way up to 12 rounds. He drafted these guys from the ground up. The only thing he had to do was to bring in an offensive coordinator, which he did, and that's when they brought in Randall Rocketman Cunningham, who was going to replace Jaws, who Dick Vermeil brought in via free agency from the LA Rams. Didn't think I knew that, huh? Yeah, I do. Right. I'm not lying when what I'm talking about now. And then, back to Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan did all what he could defensively. The Eagles had a top 5 ranked defense 7 years straight. 7 years straight. It just that the offense couldn't produce enough to get to a Super Bowl. And during the years he was there, the Eagles only sniffed the playoffs, I think 4 or 7 years that he been there. And they've been first round, second round exits. You didn't think I knew that, did you? This is a diehard Eagle fan you're talking to here. Then after they fired him, they brought in a coach that I couldn't stand. I mean, I don't like to this day, and that's Rich Cote. Rich Cote was supposed to be an offensive genius. Yeah, right. The 4 years that he was coach, I don't think the Eagles made the playoff the 4 years he was coach. And then they brought in Bud Carson. Now, Bud Carson was a damn good defensive coordinator. The Eagles defense was like top 10 during the 4 years that Rich Cote was there. So defense was no issue. It was the offense. That's why I can't stand Rich Cote. And then when he got fired, he went to the Jets. And he flunked out with the Jets. What that tells you. Now, when he left, in came the one, the only, what's his name? The black coach. What is his name? But anyway, he came and coached the Eagles for 4 seasons. And of the 4 seasons, they did the playoff twice. And then he brought in Ricky Watters. He brought in Ty Debner. He brought in he brought in Troy Vincent. And he also drafted the other cornerback on the side. I can't think of his name off the back as well. So he was a defensive mastermind who came all the way from San Francisco. And he has a ring with the 49ers. He was their defensive coordinator. Ray Rhodes. Ray Rhodes was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. He won a ring in 90, back in I think 89, 90, somewhere long up in there. He was a defensive coordinator, or he might have been a defensive assistant on the course of that time. But he does have 1 or 2 rings before coming to the Eagles. The first year with the Eagles, 94, no playoffs. 95, playoffs. 96, playoffs. 97, no playoffs. 98, no playoffs. Then he was canned after that. In came Andy Reid. Andy Reid had to rebuild the whole team from the scratch up. He had a defense. And Ray Rhodes also brought in Jeremiah Trotter. He brought in Mike Zordich. Remember him? Ray Rhodes also drafted Brian Dawkins, a.k.a. the Wolverine, or Weapon X, is what we all call him. See, now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere now. When Andy Reid came to the Eagles, he bought offense. He was an offensive mind all the way via Green Bay. Quarterback coach now. Andy Reid was an up-and-coming head coach in the near future. Andy Reid was supposed to be a coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was supposed to become an offensive coordinator before becoming an Eagle head coach. Lurie took a chance on him and brought him to the Eagles. A very young Andy Reid. We talking like 42, 43. I think he might have been younger than that. He might have been like 37, 38 years old. I would say between 35 and 45. He was a young coach. Very young coach. His mission was offense. He rebuilt the offense from the ground up. His first draft pick, the one and only Donovan McNabb. McNabb didn't start at all. He was a backup. In other words, he was a quarterback in training. If you guys remember, the only game that he played in was a very weak and pathetic Washington Redskins at the time. I remember that game. I remember that game like as if it was yesterday. That man caught that. That man did some good passing, but he ran the football more effectively than anything. The Washington Redskins didn't know what to do with Donovan McNabb at the time. A very young Donovan McNabb at the time. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know. But as he got better and better at running out the pocket and making plays, 2000 was his breakout year. That was his breakout year. I think he threw for like 2,900 yards, I believe. Over 20 touchdowns, like in less than 15 picks, is what I want to say. He started getting better, but he lacked playmakers. He only had one playmaker out of all of them, and that was Chad Lewis, number 89. Right. You didn't think I know this, don't you? Yeah, y'all didn't think I knew. I knew all this. This is what fans think of. This is what fans reminisce. This is what fans know. True fans know. Chad Lewis. If you guys remember in that playoff game, I forget who we played. I think it was the Rams, I believe. It might have been another team. He caught a Donovan McNabb pass from the 40-yard line, and when he dove into the end zone, he broke his ankle or broke his foot. He laid down with the touchdown. That was the last time we seen of Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis retired after that year. Then we brought in another tight end, all the way via Cincinnati. Then we had L.J. Smith, who I really didn't understood what Andy Reid saw in him, but the guy wound up being a 2-year player with the Eagles, and the Eagles traded him to another team, and he flunked out the season after that. Then we had let me see who else we had. We had the wide receiver from Pittsburgh. I forgot his name. We had a couple of good receivers, but not no off the top receivers. No name brand receiver. All from 2000 to 2002. Norman Knapp had no receiver to get him over that hump. And in come T.O., a.k.a. Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens was supposed to be traded to the Baltimore Ravens, but he didn't want to go to Baltimore, so he stymied that, and so Andy Reid had to trade a draft pick to Baltimore for T.O. and T.O. became the Eagles' featured wide receiver. If you guys remember, because I remember, I was looking at I forgot that this TV program come on. It has something to do with Housewives or some type of show, a reality show that I was looking at. And Terrell Owens on one of the preseason games. A lot of people were wondering, will T.O. adapt to the offensive schemes of Andy Reid? And on that first play from the 30-yard line, I believe, Terrell Owens ran an out route. He ran in, he ran out, he ran to the left, and then he zipped right back out down the field. McNabb threw a straight pass to him from him to T.O., and T.O. caught that ball. If you guys remember, he stood in the end zone, nodded his head like this right here. You know what I'm saying? And the crowd went wild. You know what I'm saying? Because that let people know that the Eagles offense was going to be off the charts that time. And then the second year, but actually 2 years before T.O. came to the Eagles had a wide receiver they drafted in the first round, 2001. And that's Freddy Mitchell, a guy I don't like. The guy did more talking than he did playing. And to this day, he blamed Donovan McNabb for the end of his career. Now I'm trying to figure out how you going to blame a quarterback for ending your career when you did more talking than playing. So to me, he was a Eagles bust. So the Eagles let him go after that third year. He started bad-mouthing Donovan McNabb. He started bad-mouthing Andy Reid and the entire Eagles organization. So the Eagles let him go, and he played for the Kansas City Chiefs for one season. And Kansas City Chiefs cut him loose after the preseason, and his career was done. I don't like Freddy Mitchell. I can't stand Freddy Mitchell. I'm sorry. Don't like Freddy Mitchell. And some of you Eagle fans like him because he's known as 4th and 26. I mean, don't get me wrong. The play that play from the 10-yard line to toward the middle of the field, when Freddy Mitchell caught that pass actually saved our season. I understand that, but I just don't like a player's cockiness. I mean, he ain't no Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens has the right to be cut because Terrell Owens was a future Hall of Fame receiver at the time and at the peak of his career. Freddy Mitchell shouldn't even been that way. He should have just been a receiver to come in and play. He did more mouthing than he did playing. And that's why his career is done. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't like Freddy Mitchell. Can't stand him. Matter of fact, I would spit in Freddy Mitchell's face if I ever seen him. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about Freddy Mitchell. That's to me that was a draft pick mistake by Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid know that now. That was a bad draft pick, in my opinion. Bad draft pick. Anyway, going further on down the line of coaches, Andy Reid was head coach from the Eagles from 1999 to 2012. Called the Eagles, the 14 years that he was head coach, the Eagles only had, 2012, 2011, 2009, I think, 2004, right after the fiasco that the Terrell Owens put the Eagles through, and I think 1999, yeah, the 4 of 14, 10 years, 10 out of 14 years, Andy Reid was head coach. The Eagles had went to the playoffs. That had never been done in Eagles history. He took the Eagles a long way, so that's why Andy Reid will always get my respect as the coach who resurrected the Eagles as one of the greatest franchises in NFL history. He put in all the work. You know what I'm saying? He was head coach, and then later on he got promoted to vice president of football operations as well as head coach. So he made a lot of the plays, a lot of the calls when it comes to the front office. He was way before Howie Roseman. Matter of fact, Howie Roseman might have been a staff. He might have been an in-office staff during the course of that time. You know what I'm saying? And I forgot who general manager. I forgot that guy's name, but I blame him for not re-signing Brian Dawkins. See, I thought Brian Dawkins got a new contract after 2000 and I think what was that 2006, I believe. I thought Brian Dawkins got a new contract. He never did. I thought he did. So he wanted a new contract. He wanted to retire as an Eagle. But it never happened. He played his last and final 4 years with the Denver Broncos. But I'm so happy that he retired as an Eagle. You know what I'm saying? So I blame that general manager for the reason that Brian Dawkins never came back to finish his career. But after he got fired, Howie Roseman became head coach. Became general manager. And to this day, he don't know a lick of sense about drafting players. The only thing he knows is free agency and bringing the correct players to play with the team, which is what he needs to be with and should need to be doing. He needs to stay out of the draft room. He needs to stay off the draft boards and let the player and let the right personnel people make the choices of getting the right players in for this organization. And anyway, over that, then in came Chip Kelly. Now, need I mind you, Chip Kelly already had a team. It was about bringing in a new system to fit the team, which is what he did in 2013. Eagle went 10-6 that year. Then he went 10-6 2014. 2014 was the year that he let Deshaun Jackson go. I'll never forget it. He released Deshaun Jackson, and Deshaun Jackson wound up going to the Washington Redskins, and since the Washington Redskins had him, they've been kicking our ass when Deshaun Jackson went to the Washington Redskins. He stayed in the NFC East. And when he let Deshaun Jackson go via free agency, via contract, that was the mistake that Jeffrey Lurie did. Jeffrey Lurie made Chip Kelly not general manager, but the person to bring in the players that he want. When he released Deshaun Jackson, he brought in another receiver who I can't think of at the time, but they only had one feature receiver at the time, and that was J-Mac. You know what I'm saying? And so then the next year, but now the same year he let Todd Harris go, then he let he let Trent Coles go. He let 3 feature players go on that defense and offense to go. He let them guys go. And then after that, the next following season, he traded away Lesean McCoy 2015, which was his final year. Then he brought in DeMeco Ryans because the Eagles had enough money. The Eagles had something like $45-50 million in salary cap money, and half of that money they bought that Bradford boy in via trade from the Rams. When they bought Bradford in, they traded Big Dick Nick to the Rams in place of him. So they swapped quarterbacks. Then when they let Lesean McCoy go, then he brought in DeMeco Ryans, who what he tried to do was bring in a big power running back. DeMeco Ryans is not really no power running back. This man can, if you guys remember in that entire season, DeMeco Ryans never was a between the tackles running back. DeMeco Ryans was more like an outside running back, and if he ran up the middle, it had to be a big gash in the middle for him to run up. Other than that, he wasn't no big power running back like Howard like we got now. See, Howard can hurt you. Howard can move a defensive lineman for extra yards. DeMeco Ryans was never that guy. He never was that guy. So that was a bad contract signing right there. And letting Lesean McCoy go was a detrimental. I mean, Deshaun Jackson is one. He's one. You know what I'm saying? But long as you got a Lesean McCoy who can command attention out the backfield, you got something there. So bringing DeMeco Ryans never command no attention. He never did. He never command no attention like Lesean McCoy does, like Deshaun Jackson does. Deshaun Jackson can take the top. Back in this day, he can take the top off a defense. The guy can run. He can run 25 miles down the field and catch a ball. If you guys remember now, Chip Kelly also had Michael Vick. Michael Vick played one season with him. Michael Vick got hurt in the second season, and then that's when they brought in that Bradford boy. Bradford boy took his place, and then they also had Big Dick Nick too. You know what I'm saying? But they traded Big Dick Nick over to the Rams. They kept saying Bradford. So I'm mentioning history here because this is what I remember seeing and hearing via television, via newspaper, via social media at the time when social media was just coming into its own. So all these things I remember seeing and hearing. So that was felt Chip Kelly's in, and then Chip Kelly wanted to be the main play caller. He wouldn't pass the play calling over to one of his assistants. He wanted to be the main play caller because during the end of that year, 4 games into the 2015, Jeffrey Lurie had a talk with Chip Kelly, and he fired Chip Kelly 4 games before the season came to an end. And the Eagles kind of like won two of those 4 games that year, and that was the end of Chip Kelly. And why Chip Kelly would wind up being 4-15, and then 4. No, he was 4-11. No, 4. I'm sorry, he was 4. Let me see, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, he was like 4-8, 4-9 before he got fired as the Eagles head coach. And his record stands at 26-21. That's his record. Then he wound up going to the 49ers, and he stunk out real bad there. He wound up being 1-16, 2-14 with the 49ers, and 49ers cut his ass loose. And then in came Doug Peterson via Kansas City, via from here first. 2016, he drafted Carson Wentz with the first overall pick from the pick they got from Minnesota. Because Minnesota won, and Minnesota needed a quarterback, so the Minnesota traded Sam Bradford to Minnesota for a first-round pick. And that first-round pick led to the drafting of Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was okay in his first year as a starter, but in the second year, in 2017, the Super Bowl year, he was doing real well up to the ankle injury against the Rams at Rams. Then they bought Nick back from the Rams. The Rams cut Nick. They cut Nick Foles loose, and Nick Foles came back. Coming back to the Eagles because he knew the offensive scheme that we were running. If you guys remember now, Nick Foles also played with Kansas City Chiefs when Andy Reid was up there. I think the Rams cut him loose. He wanted going to Kansas City. He played Kansas City for 1 year, and then the Eagles got him after that year when he wanted to become a free agent. So the Eagles brought him back here as a free agent. He knew the offense. When Wentz got hurt, Foles played them last and final 4 or 5 games of the year, and the Eagles couldn't do much with Nick Foles because Nick Foles was a stalemate in them in three of the 4 wins lost that we had. That final game against the Cowboys, we lost. The first game he became the featured quarterback. We lost. The Eagles won 2 or 4 games before the playoffs. In the playoffs, you start seeing Nick Foles maturing as a quarterback. He started getting them plays against the Falcons, them plays against the Minnesota Vikings. The Eagles played the number one. Eagles played the number 2 team, which was the Falcons, and the number 1 team, which was the Minnesota. Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. No, Eagles. I'm sorry, Eagles was number 1 seed that year. It was number 1 seed. It was number 1 seed. So we had a bye week. I'm thinking clearly now. The Eagles had a bye week. Eagles was number 1 seed that year. So we wound up going. We hosted the Falcons, and then we hosted Minnesota. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. We hosted Minnesota, and the Eagles won again, get Minnesota going to the playoffs, and we won a Super Bowl by playing Tom Brady and New England Patriots. That game was 51. Was it 51, 51, 22? I think that was 51, 22, I believe. We beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We beat Tom Brady with our first Super Bowl. So, that is the history, and as far as I know, for the Philadelphia Eagles. But to the point that I'm actually was saying is that we had to grow. The team had to grow. The team currently, we had to grow. We lost Brandon Graham for the year, yeah. But you can't hold that against us. We had to grow. Like Nick Sirianni says, we had to nurture the soil that the seed is currently under. And how you nurture the soil, you pour water. You keep pouring water every other, like maybe 2 or 3 days during the course of the week. You keep that soil moist where the plant or the seed can drink the water and start sprouting. This team has sprouted. We have sprouted. And now we in the playoffs, and we in our mission to come in and to go into Tampa Bay and win this game. We play tomorrow. Against Tampa Bay. Wild card weekend. It's some games coming on today now if they ain't already on. Some games coming on today. So this is so to go into the history of how I knew up until now, all the coach that we've had, and like I said, they fired Peterson after 3 or 4 years winning the Super Bowl. After 3 or 4 years, you know what I'm saying? And you got to think about all the playoffs. The Eagles have been to playoffs 3 or 4 years that Peterson was coach. When they fired Peterson, they brought in Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni is a young mind. Mind still young, still developing. You know what I'm saying? Still developing. Now you got teams now hiring young coaches, and you got all the older coaches being obsolete. But older coaches are mature coaches, and they the ones that know what to do, what not to do. It took Nick Sirianni some time to learn what to do, but one thing he had been good at though, and he had been good at play clock management. He's very good at that. That's something that's gonna make him a better coach going into the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. He knows exactly how to play the clock. He's done real good. Matter of fact, all the games that we've lost and won this year, he has been calling perfect play clock management. He's very good at that. He learned that from Frank Reich, being the 2 years that he under Frank Reich tutelage. He learned how to play the clock, and that's what he's doing very good at. I think he's won 4 or 5 championships this year, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And he lost some because one thing about it, when you lose challenges, you lose a down. He got better at doing that now. And that's going to play real good with him going into years and years and years as a coach. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why I'm happy that we are in the position that we are in now, because this is a team that still got some veterans, got more young guys than veterans on this team. I think it's only about, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 5 veterans on defense, and on offense you got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 veteran. You got 3 veteran offensive linemen, two young offensive linemen. You got 1 young quarterback. You got a young running game, and that's Boston Scott. A young running game in Miles Sanders, and you got a young veteran in Jordan Howard. So it's a mixture of veterans, offensively, defensive, special teams. It's some young veterans, young guys, some young veterans. There's some rookies, young veterans, and vets, and flat out vets on this team. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let this go, because I just want you guys to know how I feel about the football team and what it took. Because see, I really hate that I got off track, but I had to explain to y'all what it led to the point from all the coaching the Eagles have had that I remember up until now. I had to say all this. When it all said and done, all those coaches that I mentioned had to plant seeds for the team to get better. That basically what it is. All these coaches that I mentioned, they all planted seeds in a wet soil. Water for the team to grow. That's what it took. You have the difference between Nick, so all the coaches that I just mentioned, all the coaches that I mentioned, from Dick Vermeer to Doug Peterson, all of them had at least 1 or 2 losing seasons before their team became better what it is. Nick Sirianni won his first season, which is unheard of by some NFL standards. Not too many teams, not too many coaches can win on their first year. Nick Sirianni produced a winning season in his first year. You know what it took? It took the fans, and it took some of the players on this team to know to put players in position to win games. And that's what he has done. He has made the team run the football. He knew that passing the ball was not going to win you no games. He knew this. So when you run the football takes time for the defense to rest. When you pass the ball and you go 1, 2, 3 out, defense get back on the field. And they got to stop the opposing offense, but by that time, you're too tired. By the time you struck out 3 times, and defense on the field for the 3rd time or 4th time, depending on how they struck out. Defense get tired. They get worn out because teams start running the football on you, then you can't stop the run. By that time, the post running back done gotten 5 yards, 6 yards, 10 yards on you for first downs, depending on which down and the amount of distance of yards that you're facing on defense. That what it comes down to. So that's why they had to change their approach, and they did. That's why the Eagles are the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. Tampa Bay is going to play a team that runs the ball so well that they have not seen it. We know what Tampa Bay going to do offensively. We know what they're going to do offensively, which is no surprise. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to face a team that runs the football so well, something that they have not faced this season. And that's why I believe the Eagles going to win this football game, because Tampa Bay will not be able to stop the run. Because the Eagles got many ways to run the football. We got many ways to run it, and we got 4 different running backs with 4 different running styles. We can pound you with Jordan Howard, or we can pound you also with Boston Scott, like a bowling ball. He can run between times, and he can knock you down. So we got 2 running backs that can knock you down, and 2 running backs that can get outside and kill you on pass plays or running plays. They finna play 4 running backs with 4 different styles. And I can't wait until tomorrow, because that's where our talent comes into focus, comes into play. I can't wait. I would right about now. I wish I was in Philly to watch the football game. Matter of fact, I wish I was on the sidelines watching this game. It costs money to be. You can be on the sideline. It's just extra money to pay to sit either on the sideline, on the bleachers, or stand on the sideline. It's extra money, but I think if I had that money, that's what I would be tomorrow watching this football game. My opinion, but man. I'm sorry I had to go into them, but I had to let y'all guys know the reason why we're in the football game and why we're in the playoffs, and we going to win. I believe we're going to win. Like I said, I said earlier in the video that I wasn't quite sure if Eagles win the football game or not, but I think we got the formula to win, and that is run the football, play good defense, play good special teams, coaches, offense, defense need to call the right offensive schemes and right defensive schemes to put the team in position to win the game. And that would be an upset. That would be an upset. And everybody knows where you beating a Super Bowl team and then number 2 seed, that's an upset. It really will be. Because I believe if a team beat a Super Bowl winning team in the playoffs, has a good chance of going to the Super Bowl. So the Eagles run it real well, and beat, because one day back when you're a wild card team, you gotta play 2 more teams after your wild card berth. 2 more teams to play. If the Eagles running football very well, we would be a very good team in the Super Bowl. Our second Super Bowl appearance in 4 years. The teams that took the Eagles, 3 years. 3 years. Only 2 teams. Only 3, only 3 coaches took to the Super Bowl. Dick Vermeer, Andy Reid, and Doug Peterson. And of those 2 coaches, 2 failed. Only 1 got up there, and that was Doug Peterson. So the Eagles are 1 and 2 in the Super Bowl. 1 and 2. If we get the Super Bowl this year and win it, we'll be 2 and 2. So I can't wait for this game to go. I can't wait for it to get started. I mean, I'm hyped. You know what I'm saying? I just got to watching 2 hype videos in this game. I mean, on Facebook just a few minutes ago, and man, I'm rearing. I'm rearing and ready to roll. So, to all you guys out there, like I said, I'm sorry that I had to go into that, but I am over half an hour. No, almost an hour. Almost an hour, because I'm 57 minutes and 50-something seconds, almost an hour, telling y'all the breakdowns and the reason why we are where we at now. So anyway, without any further ado, comment, like, share, subscribe, notification bell on top. And so when you see this video, please listen to it very thoroughly and give me a comment at the bottom. I hope you do, because that lets me know you see my videos. Notification bell on top, like I always say. Notification bell, like I said, always on top. Push that, because it comes back from me to you for your enjoy and pleasure. This is your boy, The Green Talents, coming at you of the ways of how to water the flower or water the soil for the plant to sprout. This is your boy. Holla! I'll make a video again tomorrow before the game gets going. But right now, I just put this out there because I feel that you all need to see this. And the reason why I made this video. Like I said, I'm so sorry I had to get into all details, but I had to do it. I had to say it. And matter of fact, I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but now since I've done it, I ain't got to do it no more. So you guys enjoy your night, because it's cold out there right now. And have fun. Enjoy each other. Peace. One love.